is the life of our former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, who has passed away sadly. She died on the 23rd of October 2025 at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital Ridge in Accra after a short illness. She was aged 76. Now, let me give you a bit of context about her background, her early life, how she became what she became, and the kind of school she went to, what impacted her life, who mentored her to be the First Lady we all adore. She was born on the 17th of November 1948 in Cape Coast in Ghana, but she's an Ashanti. She was bred briefly in Swedro, in Takwa, and in Koko, and finally in Accra. Someone will be asking why these movements is because of her father, the Colossus J.O.T. Agyeman, who worked with the UAC, then in the Gold Coast, that the United Africa Company, and then subsidiary of Unilever Ghana. Her father will later become the managing director of GNTC in Accra, and one of the few or the two black men to become managers. The other manager was Henry Annan, the father of the late Kofi Annan. Nana Konadu House in Accra will go to a school in Osu called the Prestige or the Progress School in Osu, and later the Ghana International School, and then proceeded to the Achimota School where she studied science. But she would take economics as part of her final course, and then proceed to KNUST. But there's an interesting story how she got to KNUST, and I promise our listeners I'll do this. We're doing the online review. Nana Konadu was destined to go to London. 2 days before she was to depart Ghana for London, she went to the University of Ghana to say goodbye to her uncle, who was an academic at the University of Ghana. The University of Ghana had been shut down to some protests by students, and her uncle objected to her going to London. Her uncle told her that no, you cannot go to London because your senior sister is there, your senior brother is there, you cannot join them there. And therefore, I'll convince your father for you to stay in Ghana. That conversation happened, and Nana Konadu saw herself being shipped to Kumasi to attend the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Whilst in Kumasi, again, something happened. Her uncle went to the administration block and said that no, my lady wants to read architecture. Upon leaving KNUST and heading back to Accra, Nana Konadu went back to the registry and told them that she wants to study art. That's how she found herself reading art and textiles at KNUST. And she was in KNUST. She served as a deputy secretary to the SLC. She will later become the secretary of the KNUST SLC and serve under its president, the Colossus PV Obin, Paul Victor Obin, who will later become the secretaries of secretaries under the PNDC regime and serve Ghana in diverse fields, even as the chairman of the KNUST Council until his untimely death. Nana Konadu married the late Jerry John Rawlings in 1977 and served as the First Lady briefly in 1979, then 1981 to 2001. So she's our longest serving head of state. Now, let me just take you briefly about her time in public service. As I said, she holds the distinction of being the longest serving First Lady from June 4, 1979 to September 24, 1979 under the AFRC, then December 31, 1981 to January 6, 1993 under the PNDC. Then she is the First Lady we had in the Fourth Republican dispensation from January 7, 1993 to January 6, 2001 under the Fourth Republic. Rather than being a ceremonial First Lady, she used the platform to advance social development, children welfare, and also women's rights. Now let's talk about what she's mostly known for, the 31st December Women Movement, which is her major legacy. In 1982, on the 15th of May, the 31st December Women Movement was launched under her leadership. The movement mobilized over 2 million Ghanaian women nationwide and set up hundreds of preschools and community schools. It championed laws and policies. For example, she influenced the passage of the Interstate Succession Law, which is the PNDC Law 111 that strengthens widows and child's right to inherit assets from their families. And she's quoted to have said before the passage of the law that my desire is to see the emancipation of women at every level of development, to enable them to contribute and benefit from the socio-economic and political progress of the country. The 31st December Women Movement aspires to achieve these objectives through the effective mobilization of women. In 2016, she will later become the first woman to stand on the ticket to contest for president in the fourth Republican dispensation. Now let's go back to the 31st December movement and talk about some numbers here. Yes, it's a breakdown. We have to talk about some numbers. Per my checks, the movement established more than 870 daycare centers and community schools across the country, many in remote areas that have never seen formal education or facilities like that nature. It trained women in entrepreneurship, in health, in sanitation, in civic participation, reaching over 2 million Ghanaian women and families. One of those lives forever changed was that of my colleague journalist in Accra, Fentuo Tahiru Fentuo, who grew up in Vamboy, a small village near Tumu in the Upper West region. In 1991, the movement built its community's first school, a day nursery. His father, convinced by the volunteers, sent him as the village first pupil to that school. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, as a first lady, will visit the school herself and help in the accommodation of the school, where young Fentuo performed a nursery rhyme before her. That movement and that intervention changed the course of his life, and today he is one of Ghana's most celebrated journalists the world over. None of these would have been possible without the singular initiative from Mrs. Rawlings. So she's been impactful as a first lady, and she's graced the occasion with a beautiful smile, as Leo would say, her silhouette, appearance, and iconic nature. We say, may her soul rest in the bosom of the Almighty Lord. Now, President Akufo-Addo will say, until the final day of the resurrection, where we all will see each other again. This has been the breakdown. We did this to celebrate the lives and time of Her Excellency, now late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. May her soul rest in peace.